In the archives of an ancient star library, a group of alien scholars uncovered something unusual, a map older than any record they had seen before, its surface glowing faintly with symbols written in a language long forgotten. At first, it looked like another relic from a civilization lost to time, but then one of the scholars noticed strange markings circling a star system at the edge of the galaxy. The words translated into a chilling warning, "Here be monsters." The room grew quiet as the scholars stared at the phrase, because in their culture, such warnings were never given lightly. Most maps described routes, resources, or safe harbors, but this one carried a message of fear. The system it pointed to was almost erased from their records, as if someone had gone to great lengths to make sure no one ever returned there. Some argued that the warning was only superstition, perhaps an old story to keep travelers away, but others whispered that maybe it was hiding something greater, something powerful. Curiosity began to rise above fear, and soon the Council of Explorers agreed to send a fleet. None of them realized that by following this map, they were about to rediscover the one world history had tried to forget, Earth. When the alien fleet finally arrived at the coordinates marked on the forgotten map, they expected to find an empty star system, perhaps abandoned, maybe even erased by time. What greeted them instead was a graveyard unlike anything they had seen before. Planets that once might have held life were shattered into pieces, their remains drifting silently in orbit like broken glass. Asteroid belts twisted with wreckage from ships so massive that their scale dwarfed the explorers' vessels. Even space itself seemed heavy, as if the memories of countless battles still lingered in the dark. The fleet moved cautiously, their scanners struggling to measure the strange energy scars that still pulse faintly across the void, traces of weapons that no known civilization could have built. At the center of this devastation, however, was something impossible. A single blue and green world still alive, turning quietly in its orbit as though untouched by the violence that had consumed everything around it. The explorers grew restless, unable to understand how such a fragile planet could survive when entire worlds nearby had been burned to ash. They detected ruins buried deep under the surface, ancient cities hidden beneath layers of soil and ocean. Yet their scans also revealed faint, deliberate structures of technology, too well hidden to be the work of nature. Whispers spread through the fleet that this was not a normal world at all. Something had kept it alive when the rest of the system had died, and whatever force had done so might still be watching. The more they studied, the colder their fear grew, because the warning on the map no longer felt like a story, it was starting to feel like a truth carved into the bones of the galaxy itself. The first exploration teams descended to the surface with great care, their ships landing in the shadow of towering ruins that looked older than their own empires. Dust-covered shattered roads and collapsed structures whispered of a civilization that had once reached for the stars. The aliens expected silence, but what they found unsettled them more than screams ever could. Machines half buried beneath the ground, still humming faintly as though waiting for something. One of the scientists, eager to understand, extended a probe into one of the dormant cores. For a moment, nothing happened, and the team relaxed, but then the entire planet seemed to shudder. Ancient systems stirred, and deep beneath oceans and mountains, vast machines began to awaken from their slumber. In orbit, the fleet panicked as hidden satellites rose from craters and seas, their weapons locking onto every ship in the sky with terrifying precision. No one had seen such technology in thousands of years. Before the fleet could react, a voice echoed, not from speakers, not from translators, but directly in their minds. It was calm, steady, and filled with a weight of authority that made them feel small. You stand upon Earth. Identify yourselves. Fear rippled through the explorers. The map had warned of monsters, yet what spoke to them was not a beast, but a mind ancient, powerful, and human. In that single moment, the aliens realized they had not uncovered ruins of a dead race, but the awakening of something far older and far more dangerous than any ghost story. The monsters were not myths. They had simply been waiting, hidden beneath the soil of a quiet world, ready to rise again. The alien fleet tried desperately to respond, broadcasting peaceful signals into the void, their voices shaking as they begged for understanding. But the awakened systems orbiting Earth did not trust them. The satellites scanned every ship with eyes sharper than anything the explorers had ever known, weapons humming with energy strong enough to erase entire armadas. Then, without warning, a pulse shot out from Earth, not a weapon, but a signal carrying across the cold darkness of space. It spread beyond the system, echoing into regions the aliens' maps did not even mark. For long, tense minutes, nothing happened. Then the void itself seemed to open. From the black horizon of space, ships emerged sleek, predatory, moving with the precision of hunters. Their designs were unlike anything in galactic archives, both elegant and brutal, as though shaped not for display but for war. The explorers could only watch in dread as they realized these were not remnants of a lost race, but vessels belonging to the very humans the galaxy had thought extinct. Humanity had not been destroyed. They had withdrawn into silence, hiding in places no one dared to search, building in secret while the galaxy forgot them. Now, called back by their homeworld, they had returned. The humans did not speak at first. Their ships surrounded the alien fleet, their movements like predators circling prey. When at last a human voice broke through the channels, it was calm but unyielding. "We remember you." The aliens froze, unable to answer, because they suddenly understood the meaning behind those ancient words carved onto the map. The warning had not been about beasts or myths, it had been about humanity itself, a force too dangerous to provoke, a survivor race that did not forgive easily. In that moment, the explorers realized they had awoken something far worse than monsters. They had awakened predators in the truest sense, and the galaxy that had once hunted humans would now face their return. The silence between the two fleets was heavier than any weapon. The alien commanders tried to explain they came only to learn, but the humans did not seem convinced. Their ships drifted closer, and the explorers could feel the weight of eyes studying them, measuring them as one might measure a threat. Finally, the humans spoke again, their words sharp and unforgettable. "Your kind once called us monsters. You feared what we could do, and you were right." The aliens trembled, realizing the old map had not been drawn in superstition, but in terror. Long ago, civilizations had faced humanity and survived only because Earth chose silence. Now, that silence was broken, and the lesson was clear. Humans were not monsters in the shape of beasts, they were something more frightening. They were survivors who had endured wars that shattered planets, who had learned to fight not with desperation, but with cold precision. The alien fleet expected destruction, but instead the humans let them go, a warning carried in mercy. As the explorers retreated, they knew what message they must take back to the galaxy. Earth still lived, and the so-called monsters had returned. But they were not monsters. They were humans, and that was far more dangerous.